A boy raised in the suburbs of Marseille, with a soccer ball as his playmate and the street as his training ground, Zinedine Zidane is not just one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. He is also the symbol of a dream, of a story made of sacrifices, falls, triumphs, and redemption. An enigmatic figure, capable of captivating the entire world without uttering a single word. Zidane's story is that of a man who embodies not only sporting excellence, but also the ability to navigate the complexities of success without ever losing sight of his roots. His feats on the field turn into poetry, but behind the magic of his movements lies a tormented soul, a man facing immense pressure, human errors, and moments of vulnerability that bring him closer to us. Zidane is the protagonist of a story that goes beyond football. Today, we will discover how his impact off the field resonated not only in sports, but also in society, representing a source of inspiration for many young people. A man who speaks only through the ball, but who, with that language, changed the world. This is the story of Zinedine Zidane. Hi guys, this is a new channel. I'm an Italian YouTuber who wants to try telling stories in English as well. If you want to support the channel, just subscribe. Thanks and enjoy the video. Marseille, the 1970s. In a corner of this city, in the La Castellane neighborhood, Zinedine Zidane, known as Yazid to his friends, grows up. La Castellane is a tough place, a cluster of public housing buildings that reflect a complex reality made up of immigrant families and stories of struggle and daily survival. It is in this context that Zidane begins his journey, with the ball as an instrument of escape and freedom. The Zidane family comes from the mountainous region of Kabylia in Algeria. His father, Smail, works as a caretaker, while his mother, Malika, takes care of the home and the children. Football quickly becomes his refuge, a game that allows him to forget, for a few hours, the tensions of the neighborhood and the economic hardships. The first time Yazid touches a ball is on a concrete square between the grey buildings of La Castellane. The field has no lines or real goals, just two backpacks used as posts. Here, he develops his first skills. His touch on the ball is already something special, something that captures the attention of the older kids. He plays with passion, with a naturalness that makes everything seem easy. At 11, he is noticed by a local coach who invites him to join the youth team of Saint-Henri. It is the first step. Yazid immediately stands out. He is a shy boy, but when he has the ball at his feet, his personality explodes. On the field, he is not afraid to dare to try a dribble, to challenge opponents bigger and physically stronger than him. There, on those dusty fields, Zidane begins to realize that football might be his way out, the means to achieve something greater. His footballing growth continues at Septem-le-Vallon, another small club on the outskirts of Marseille. Here, he meets coaches who recognize his talent and push him to improve. But there is no glamour, no spotlight, only the desire to improve and have fun. During these years, Zidane develops not only his technical abilities, but also his mentality. He learns to stay calm under pressure, never losing control, despite the provocations from opponents and the challenges of the environment he lives in. The streets teach him the importance of resilience, of never giving up. These values, instilled by his family and reinforced by daily experiences, will accompany Zidane throughout his career, both on and off the field. In 1986, he participates in some important selections and is noticed by Jean Varot, a scout for Cannes. Varot has no doubts about what he has seen and urges the club to sign him on a professional contract. He will play in the youth teams, but that call changes everything. For the first time, Yazid leaves his family and his neighborhood to pursue his dream. He moves to Cannes, welcomed by a host family, far from the comforts and security of home. It is a period of growth and challenges, but also great opportunities. Zidane's roots, however, remain firmly planted in La Castellane. Despite the distance, he never forgets where he comes from, and this connection to his origins becomes one of the main characteristics of his personality. His humility, his ability to stay grounded even in moments of great success, stem from those days spent playing among the buildings of Marseille, with the dream of becoming a professional footballer. In Cannes, Zinedine Zidane enters a completely new world. His life changes drastically. He is no longer the boy playing among the buildings of La Castellane, but a young man stepping into the world of professional football. The adjustment is not easy. He is still a shy and reserved teenager, and the separation from his family weighs heavily on him. The field and this experience of life away from Marseille teach him the most important lessons. Loneliness, homesickness, defeats on the field, all these shape his character. However, within the rectangle of the pitch, everything seems to make sense. The ball remains his universal language, the only constant in a rapidly changing world. When he has the ball at his feet, Zidane regains his confidence and his identity. After a few years in the youth ranks, the long-awaited moment arrives. Jean Fernandez, advised by Varro, facilitates his debut with the first team. It is May 20th, 1989, and Zinedine is only 16. He steps onto the field with the same natural ease with which he played on the squares of La Castellane, immediately showing his class and talent. That match marks the beginning of his professional career, the first step toward realizing a dream. On February 10th, 1991, he scores his first goal in a 2-1 victory against Nantes in the league. Receiving a new car, a red Renault Clio, as promised by the club president Alain Pedretti. In 1992, after being labeled as too slow by OM's directors, he moves to Bordeaux for 3 million francs. The transfer represents an important step up, and at Bordeaux, Zidane finds a more mature environment where he can fully express his talent. He joins a team featuring future champions like Christophe Dugarry and Bixente Lizarazu, with whom he forms a formidable attacking trio, destined to make waves even in the national team. Here, his growth is exponential. He begins to gain confidence as a playmaker, the true engine of the team. His ability to read the game, combined with extraordinary technique, makes him a unique player on the football stage. Zidane is not just a fantasist, but a conductor of the game, capable of dictating the rhythm of the match with an almost unreal calm. His style is different from that of any other player of his generation. Zidane knows when to speed up and when to slow down, which allows him to always keep control of the game. In the 95-96 season, he leads Bordeaux to win the Intertoto Cup, scoring 5 goals in 8 matches. In the UEFA Cup, he delights the crowd with a stunning 40-meter goal against Real Betis. He leads the comeback in the quarterfinals against Milan. After a 2-0 loss in the first leg, he provides 2 assists in a 3-0 victory that paves the way to the final, which they lose to Bayern Munich. Despite the defeat, Zidane shines as the team leader, displaying maturity and a vision of the game that few others can boast. After that final, it becomes clear to everyone that he is ready for even bigger stages. But this is only the beginning. Zidane's journey has just started, and the biggest challenges are still on the horizon. It's the summer of 1996, and at 24 years old, Zidane faces a new challenge, perhaps the biggest of his career up to that point. Juventus acquires him for 7.5 billion lire. Turin welcomes him with its stern charm, a city rich in football tradition and high expectations. And Juventus, the old lady, is ready to mold Zidane's talent to bring him to the highest levels of international football. The initial impact with Juventus is not easy. Zidane has to adapt not only to a new country, but also to a style of football very different from the French one. Serie A in the 90s is the most competitive league in the world, with tough defenses and immense pressure on every single player. The training sessions are hard, and internal competition is intense. Zidane initially struggles to find his rhythm. In the first few months, he finds it hard to stand out. The Italian press is ruthless. Some call him a flop, while others accuse him of being too fragile for Italian football. Marcello Lippi, then the Juventus coach, plays a crucial role in his growth. Lippi understands that Zinedine is a special player, someone who can make a difference with a single touch of the ball. Zidane was a unique player, a talent you don't see every day. He had an incredible ability to read the game, as if he were always one step ahead of others. Every time he received the ball, you knew something special could happen. He gives him confidence, encourages him to take charge of the team, and use his vision of the game to orchestrate offensive maneuvers. Zidane repays this trust with increasingly convincing performances, soon becoming the beating heart of Juventus's midfield. Deschamps is also there to help him, Juventus captain and his teammate in the national team. He encourages him and shows him how to become a leader without needing to raise his voice. Zinedine was a silent leader. He didn't need to raise his voice or make fiery speeches. He spoke with his feet. The turning point comes in the spring of 1997. His performances become more incisive, his vision of the game sharper. With the ball at his feet, he seems to have a fraction of a second more than others. Juventus feels it, understands it. Zidane is the team's beacon, the man who can create something from nothing. The first successes do not take long to arrive. Zidane wins the Intercontinental Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the Championship in his first season, contributing significantly to winning the Scudetto with 5 goals in 29 appearances. His elegant playing style and his ability to read the field earn him the respect of teammates and fans. In a league dominated by physicality and defensive tactics, he brings a touch of magic, a fluidity that almost contrasts with Serie A's rigid discipline. Despite the successes, Zidane's path at Juventus is not without difficulties. He has to learn to live with criticism, to handle ever-growing expectations as his talent becomes evident to everyone. The Champions League finals lost in 1997 and 1998 are particularly tough moments. Juventus comes close to European triumph, but they are defeated both times, leaving him with a sense of incompleteness that haunts him. 1998 is the year of his consecration. Zidane has found his place at Juventus. He is the technical leader of the team, the player everyone looks to when the situation gets tough. He wins his second consecutive Scudetto, contributing with 7 goals in 32 matches. But it is with the national team that his reputation grows even more. Zidane, the son of Algerian immigrants raised in Marseille's suburbs, perfectly embodies that multi-ethnic France, a nation seeking redemption through football. In the group stage, France starts well, but Zinedine experiences a setback. During the second match against Saudi Arabia, in a moment of frustration, he steps on an opponent on the ground and is sent off. It's a dark moment that brings out the impulsive side of his character, the one that sometimes escapes his control. The press harshly criticizes him, questioning his ability to handle the pressure of such an important tournament. But Zizou responds on the field. He scores one of the decisive penalties against Italy in the quarterfinals, and then leads Les Bleus to the final against Brazil, scoring a brace in the 3-0 win that gives France its first World Cup. In December 1998, Zidane wins the Ballon d'Or, becoming the 4th Frenchman to achieve this honor. Despite the success, he remains true to himself. He does not let fame overwhelm him. He is not interested in the glamorous life, in magazine covers. His life off the field is simple, dedicated to his family, to his wife Veronique, and their children. The following seasons at Juventus are more complicated. The 1998-99 season ends with a 7th place finish and an injury that affects his year. Despite the ups and downs of Juventus, 2000 is one of his best years ever. At Euro 2000, he is the technical leader of France, scoring crucial goals, such as the free kick in the quarterfinals against Spain and the penalty against Portugal in the semi-final. The French win the tournament, beating Italy in extra time with Trezeguet's infamous golden goal. At the end of the tournament, Zidane is voted the best player of the Euro, and his status as a legend is now indisputable. The shy and quiet boy, raised in Marseille's tough neighborhoods, is now the king of world football. He has brought France to the top of the world in Europe, becoming a symbol of hope, redemption, and pride for millions of people. But there is something within him that, for better or worse, marks him. Despite his ability to control himself on and off the field, a part of him, the one that fought to rise from Marseille's suburbs, occasionally surfaces. 2 red cards in the Champions League, one in September for retaliating against Deportivo and another in October for headbutting against Hamburg, cost him the Ballon d'Or, which he was heavily favored to win. By a few votes, Luis Figo takes the award. In 2000, after 4 seasons at Juventus, Zidane is now a recognized champion. He has won everything in Italy, but something is still missing: the Champions League. And now, the world's most prestigious club has set its sights on him. It's the summer of 2001, and the football world is shaken by sensational news. Zinedine Zidane, one of the best players on the planet, moves from Juventus to Real Madrid. It's a record-breaking transfer. 150 billion lire, an astronomical sum that sets a new standard in the transfer market. Florentino Perez, the club president, decides to make Zidane the centerpiece of his ambitious Galacticos project. It's the start of a new adventure in a team composed of some of the brightest stars in world football: Luis Figo, Raul, Roberto Carlos, and later Ronaldo and David Beckham. He enters a context full of talent, but also immense expectations. His impact at Real Madrid is immediate. The Santiago Bernabeu, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, becomes the new stage for his magic. His playing style fits perfectly with the offensive philosophy of the Spanish club, and his presence in midfield gives Real Madrid a level of elegance and control that few other players can offer. He finds himself at the center of a project that aims not only to win, but to do so with style. Zidane is not just a football legend, he is the embodiment of Real Madrid's philosophy: excellence, elegance, and victory. Zidane's crowning moment in Spain comes in the 2002 Champions League final. Real Madrid faces Bayer Leverkusen, and the match takes place at Hampden Park in Glasgow. It's a historic night for Zidane and for world football. Toward the end of the first half, with the score tied at 1-1, Roberto Carlos makes a cross from the left, which is deflected. Zidane strikes it on the volley with his left foot, sending the ball straight into the top corner. It's a legendary goal, one of the most iconic in football history, which gives Real Madrid their 9th Champions League title. That goal represents the peak of his career, the perfect synthesis of his talent, technique, vision, and the ability to perform at his best in decisive moments. In the following years, Zidane continues to enchant in the white jersey, but life in Madrid is not just about successes. In 2003, he wins his first La Liga title with Real Madrid, but the team struggles to replicate this success in Europe. The arrival of other stars, like Ronaldo and Beckham, adds more pressure, and while Zizou maintains his class, he must deal with a team that struggles to find balance. Zidane experiences ups and downs, with triumphs mixed with unexpected disappointments. After the 2003 title, he will only win a Spanish Super Cup. But beyond the titles, it's his influence on the game, his ability to elevate the team at crucial moments, that makes him unforgettable. Time, however, marches on. After enchanting the Madrid fans for 5 seasons, Zidane starts to feel the weight of the years. Despite his elegance and his ability to control the game's pace, his appearances on the field become less frequent. He realizes that the end of his career is near, but he wants to leave on his terms, with style. In 2006, he announces that this will be his last season as a professional footballer. Real Madrid celebrates him as a living legend, and Zidane, with his usual composure, accepts the tributes with gratitude but never seeks the spotlight. For him, football has always been a matter of passion, not fame. Zizou's last match at the Santiago Bernabeu is a moment of emotion. The fans who have loved him since day one pay tribute by waving banners with his name and jersey number. His teammates wear commemorative shirts. Zidane leaves the field to thunderous applause with tears in his eyes. It's the end of an era. He leaves Real Madrid as one of its greatest icons, a player who defined the concept of Galactico with his elegance and footballing genius. Now, Zizou prepares to live the last chapter of his career with the French national team with only one goal in mind: to leave behind the jersey he has loved most as a world champion. His return to the national team, after having already announced his retirement in 2004, is an act of love towards his country and towards football. Zidane knows this will be his last competition, his last dance, and he decides to face it with all the passion and determination he is capable of. After a difficult group stage, France manages to qualify for the knockout phase. It is here that Zidane's genius emerges in all its greatness. In the round of 16, France faces Spain, one of the favorites to win the tournament. At 33 years old, Zidane delivers an extraordinary performance, orchestrating his team's play and scoring the final goal in a 3-1 victory that closes the match. It is a demonstration of class and leadership that reignites France's hopes and galvanizes his teammates. He becomes the beacon of a team that begins to believe in the World Cup dream. In the quarterfinals, France faces Brazil, the reigning champion, and a team considered by many as the strongest in the world. Zidane plays a masterful game, dominating the midfield and delivering a perfect assist for Thierry Henry's goal, which gives France a 1-0 victory. His performance against Brazil is considered one of the best of his career, a masterpiece of elegance, game vision, and absolute control. Zizou seems to be playing in a different dimension, immune to pressure and capable of bringing out his best in the most important moments. In the semi-final, France overcomes Portugal thanks to a penalty converted by Zidane himself. The French national team thus reaches the final, where they will face Italy. It's July 9, 2006, and Berlin's Olympic Stadium is the stage for one of the most iconic and dramatic finals in World Cup history. Zidane, with the captain's armband, is ready to play his last professional match, with the chance to end his career in the most glorious way possible. The final starts in the best way for Zidane, who converts a penalty with extreme composure in the 7th minute, scoring with a panenka that hits the crossbar before crossing the line. It's a moment that encapsulates Zidane's brilliance. Only a player of his caliber in a World Cup final would have had the courage to attempt such a risky move. Materazzi's equalizer takes the match into extra time. In the 104th minute, Buffon makes a miraculous save on a perfect header from Zidane. Then, the unimaginable happens. It's the 110th minute. After an exchange of words with Materazzi, Zidane turns and strikes him with a headbutt to the chest. Materazzi falls to the ground, and the Argentine referee, Horacio Elizondo, after a brief consultation with the linesman, shows the red card. Zidane is sent off. France is down to 10 men at the crucial moment of the final. The captain, the man who led France to the final, exits the stage in the most dramatic and unexpected way. He walks, slowly towards the locker room with his head down. The World Cup trophy just a few steps away glistens on the sideline, but Zidane will never touch it again. France loses on penalties, and Zidane, awarded as the best player of the tournament, ends his career with an image that will remain forever etched in collective memory. The legend who, in a moment of rage, succumbs to his emotions. Zidane's headbutt on Materazzi is a gesture that reveals his human side, his vulnerability, his inability to remain indifferent to provocations. In the world of football, that gesture immediately becomes legendary. Everyone wonders what drove Zidane to such an impulsive act. Materazzi, years later, will admit to provoking him with a comment on the field, but the damage is done. Zidane himself offers no excuses. "I take responsibility for what I did. I'm not proud of that gesture, but I would do it again if necessary." It's a phrase that encapsulates his entire character. Honest, yet aware of his actions. But the episode of the headbutt cannot erase everything Zidane represented in football. While that gesture casts a shadow over the final chapter of his playing career, it does not diminish the greatness of his career. Zizou remains a symbol of talent, elegance, and genius. He is the player who made what is complicated seem simple, who united generations, and who inspired millions of fans. After the World Cup, he officially retires from playing. No comebacks, no second thoughts. His career ends this way, with that headbutt and that red card, but also with an extraordinary legacy. Zidane will not be remembered just for that single gesture, but for everything he did on the field, for his victories, for his vision of the game, and for the way he transformed each match into a work of art. After retiring from football in 2006, Zinedine Zidane faced a new challenge to figure out what the next chapter of his life would be. It was a time of reflection, a search for a new identity after years of being in the football spotlight. For a while, Zidane stayed away from the limelight, dedicating time to his family and trying to enjoy a quieter life, far from the constant pressure that had characterized his playing career. But the call of football was too strong, and Zidane knew he couldn't stay away from the world he loved so much. In 2010, Zidane returned to Real Madrid, this time in an executive role as an advisor to President Florentino Perez. He moved through the corridors of power, observing, learning, and beginning to understand the dynamics of running a big club. But what attracted him most was the field, and so he decided to pursue a career in coaching. On June 26, 2013, he became the assistant coach to Carlo Ancelotti, helping him manage the great stars. In 2014, Zidane made his debut as a coach for Real Madrid Castilla, Real Madrid's reserve team. Ancelotti's influence is evident from the start. Carlo was a master to me. I learned a lot from him. He's a great coach and a great person. The opportunity of a lifetime came in January 2016 when Rafa Benitez was dismissed, and Zidane was promoted to head coach of Real Madrid's first team. It was a moment of great responsibility. He took over one of the most prestigious teams in the world, with players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Sergio Ramos, Luka Modric, and Karim Benzema. Many were skeptical about his appointment. Zidane was an inexperienced coach, and the expectations were enormous. From day one, he displayed a calmness and determination that won over the players and the fans. Under his guidance, Real Madrid began to achieve extraordinary results. Within a few months, Zidane led the team to win the Champions League, beating Atletico Madrid in the final in Milan. It was the start of a legendary era for the club. Zidane created a serene working environment, motivated the players, and got the best out of each one. His approach was simple but effective: trust in his men, team unity, and attention to detail. Having lived through the challenging Galacticos era as a player, Zidane was able to manage the big egos in the locker room, building a relationship of mutual respect and trust with his players. Zidane's time as Real Madrid's coach was characterized by unprecedented success. Under his leadership, the club won 3 consecutive Champions League titles, an achievement no other coach has accomplished in the modern football era. Zidane also won 2 Spanish championships, La Liga, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and 2 FIFA Club World Cups. His ability to handle pressure and prepare the team for big matches became his trademark. Zidane proved to be a coach capable of reading situations, adapting, and always finding the right solution in crucial moments. In 2018, after winning the 3rd consecutive Champions League, Zidane surprised everyone by announcing his resignation. It was an unexpected decision, but Zizou explained that the club needed a change, a new voice to continue winning. It was a gesture of great clarity, but the call of Real Madrid was too strong. And in 2019, he returned to the club's bench, ready for a new challenge. The second spell didn't match the first one. He won a La Liga and a Spanish Super Cup before leaving the club again in 2021. Zinedine Zidane's coaching career was as successful as his playing career. He proved to be not only a great champion on the field, but also a leader capable of inspiring and guiding his players to success, making him one of the most respected coaches in the world. Zidane went from being a legend on the field to a legend on the bench, continuing to write his story in the world of football with the same elegance and passion that always defined him. Zinedine Zidane has been not only an extraordinary player and a successful coach, but also a cultural icon whose impact transcended the football pitch, becoming a symbol of hope, integration, and resilience. Born to Algerian parents who emigrated to France, he embodied the dream of a better life for many, proving that talent and hard work can allow anyone to reach the highest peaks, regardless of their origins. Zidane showed that in football, as in life, one can be great without shouting. One can conquer the world without seeking to dominate it. His figure, still today, represents an inspiration for millions of people who see in him not just a champion, but a model of humanity and respect. He is a legend and, above all, a man who showed the world the beauty of football in its purest and most human form.